beautiful day in Snortling's Hollow. You can learn a little something. Would you like to follow? They're pulling you left, but you might want to go right. Let's take a little trip and it could shed some light. If you don't agree with our point of view, you don't have to make a big to-do. Just watch another video. Who's stopping you? We're not trying to tell you what to do. Today's episode is brought to you by the Common Ground podcast channel. Now this is my other channel where my liberal friend James and I take on the hot button topics of today from a liberal and conservative point of view. And we have some really great guests with some insight that you're not going to want to miss hearing. And don't forget about my books, t-shirts, dollhouses, and miniatures. All the links are below, so go check it out. Well, hello there, my friends. It's me, Mimzi Moon, and I'm finally back with another great episode of Adventures in Snortling's Hollow, an eccentric and whimsical political and social comedy show from a right-leaning point of view. And today we're all in for a treat because it's Piper's birthday. And I'm glad you could be here for her surprise party. I've got it all set up and I got her a really nice gift and everything. So she thinks she's just coming over to do a show. So help me out by yelling, "Surprise!" when she comes through the door. Ooh, I hear her coming. Hi, I'm here! Oh, hey, what's all this? Surprise! You remembered my birthday. Well, how can I forget? You reminded me like 20 times. Well, okay, it worked, didn't it? So, where's my gift? Your gift? Well, sure, I guess we could do that. Yay! All right, here you go. Well, let me go ahead and help you with that. Oh, there you go. Do you like it? Oh, it's so pretty! Thank you! You're welcome. Well, maybe you can wear it later on when you go out. What are your plans for your birthday today? Well, I'm turning 21, so not this! Bye! See ya! Wait, what about the cake? What the fuck just happened? That selfish little bitch. I mean, I went to all this trouble. Fuck her then. Like, why do I even bother? Like, fuck this. You bitch. Okay, that's fine. I mean, people aren't always gonna do what you think they're gonna do or do what you want them to do. I mean, it can really suck sometimes, especially if you really put yourself out there to try to do something that will make them happy and you don't get the reaction that you thought you would. But you can't control other people, only yourself. So I'm gonna take control over the situation by not allowing it to ruin my day or my show. And this kind of reminds me of a great topic for today's show. We can call it the secrets to happiness. But now I'm kind of left without a co-host to bounce things off of, so probably a little late to try to get anyone else. I think Milo's at work right now, so all right, I guess it's just gonna be me then. Well, I think I'm a pretty good person to speak on this subject because I'm pretty fucking happy. I mean, I go through my everyday life with a general feeling of peace and contentment and a sense of adventure and optimism for the future. And I suspect that even me saying that can evoke some negative reactions in some people. They might say, well, of course you're happy. You have all this white, middle-class, suburban privilege. You don't deal with the same kinds of issues and challenges that some other people do. Well, first of all, that's just not true. I'm not going to sit here and tell you my whole life story, but if you'd like to know, I do talk a little bit about it in my walk away video, and I'll link to that below. And I could certainly use my past or even my present if I was so inclined to justify unhappiness, just like any of you could. But I'm here to tell you that happiness is a choice, and it's a choice that I made several years ago. And I've learned some things about happiness along the way, and if I can help some people with what I've learned, then well, that's just one of those things that makes life all the more worth living. But if you don't find my advice applies to you, then as with anything, just take what you want and leave the rest. So, the first thing I want people to realize is that we live in a very diverse world, and we ultimately want that. It would be a boring place if we were all the same, but because of this, we're going to have a wide range of values. So, no matter what your values are, they're going to be opposed by many people. People are going to hate you. They're all going to wish you to fail, and you need to learn to be okay with this. The first step to growing as a person is acceptance. Haters are going to hate, and if you can't be okay with this, you're never going to grow. We're only in control of our own thoughts and actions. One human being can't change another human being. And since you need to have the freedom to be wrong and the freedom to fail, you must be willing to be embarrassed. Because through trial and error, falling and getting back up, you will achieve success and you will have progress. And it's the progress that's really one of the keys to ultimate life satisfaction and happiness. So don't waste your time trying to prove yourself to people who don't like you. You're not responsible for their feelings. The most respected people in the whole world have a lot of people who don't like them. So you're not going to be any different. And the next thing I would want you to realize, so we'll call this like number 2, is that it's important for you to find a deeper meaning in your life. So what I mean is this. You don't just need to know what you want, but there also has to be a why. You can't find happiness in just being like superficial. Like most people want money, right? So I mean, I do. But if you're just motivated by money for like the sake of money, then there's no deeper meaning behind it. Then you could have all the money in the world and it still wouldn't buy you happiness. So that's why so many rich kids or heirs to fortune are known for being miserable people. So ask yourself why you want money. What would it mean to you and your family? How would you use your money to help others and better people's lives? Many people are motivated by approval. They're going around taking pictures of their best angles and representations of their everyday lives just to post on social media for likes, often failing to even enjoy the actual activity that they were engaging in. So you'll be much happier if you're motivated by spending quality time and living in the moment with the people that you love rather than caring about what a bunch of random people think about you. And it's great to enjoy social media, but you would find much more satisfaction if you use your interest to reach out and communicate and help people on a deeper level. And like having partying and casual sex with strangers is your motivation. Well, I've said it many times before, but people are going to do what they're going to do, but you're not going to find true happiness until you face the reasons you feel compelled to do all this partying and sleeping around, and you start experiencing sex as a way to facilitate a connection, an emotional bond with someone you have deeper feelings for. So I'm just saying. So in short, let your contributions be your motivation. Okay, let's go with number 3. Give yourself a break. Once again, we're living in a very diverse world and you are a unique part of the intricate tapestry. And we all have flaws and imperfections and limitations, and your imperfections are part of your journey, and your goals may be different from other people's. It's okay to want something different, or if you need to take time to decide what that is. Maybe you truly want the traditional American dream of a career, a home, a family, and kids, but many people don't, so don't form expectations about yourself based on someone else's ideals. Many people achieve the ideal of what they thought that they should want, only to find that it didn't really bring them the satisfaction that they thought that it would. And maybe you find yourself physically or mentally differently abled than many other people, and traditional goals aren't a good fit, or that they seem out of reach. Well, you're here to experience life as you, not as anyone else. Perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist. If you spend your life chasing it, you're always going to come up short of it in the end. True satisfaction comes when you let it go and realize that life is about progress, whatever that means for you, and not perfection. If you're waiting for the day when all of your problems go away so you can finally be happy, then happiness will remain forever elusive. So number 4. This one is kind of related to some of what I've already talked about, but I still think it's important enough to point out specifically. Stop comparing yourself to other people. There's always going to be somebody better than you. Even for people who would be considered to be the best in their field, there will always be somebody smarter, richer, prettier, or more talented. You have to let that go and just be happy for them. And admire them if you like, but never forget that they're just people who have their own set of unique challenges that you may know nothing about. You're not them, you're you. My best advice to you would be to limit your Facebook scrolling. People only show you the very best and edited parts of their lives, and that's bound to make your real life look far less impressive to you. And don't forget, there is no statistical correlation between wealth and increased life satisfaction beyond having the basic necessities. Life is not a race to the top, and if you're constantly competing to come out ahead, you'll never have contentment because you're engaging in an impossible task. I like the saying that life's a journey and not a destination. Okay, number 5. This is a big one. It's maybe the most important in my opinion. The real secret to happiness is gratitude. So let me start off by saying it this way. Abundance and lack exists in everyone's life at the same time. It's which one you decide to focus on and give your attention to that determines your level of life satisfaction. And it's a choice. You're not just at the mercy of your thoughts and emotions. You can direct them. Direct your attention towards desiring what you already have. If you're always involved in the relentless pursuit of wanting more and you never take the time to appreciate what you already have, you're never going to find happiness. There will always be something you don't have. So make a personal vow to yourself that you'll concentrate on gratitude every day. Write a list or make a journal if that helps. Keep gratitude at the forefront of your thoughts and take nothing for granted. People do have a tendency to focus on negative things, but this is just a habit. You can make a conscious effort to turn gratitude into your habit. Focus on what is right in front of you and truly appreciate the people in your life. Tell them you love them. Smile at people. Say thank you. All that shit pays off. And if you concentrate on gratitude every day, you're going to be happier, more optimistic. You'll experience more joy and pleasure and become more outgoing and have a stronger connection to the world around you. So what's number 6? Well, I'm going to let my lovely daughter tell you all about it as we take a walk down Paisley Lane.
Hey there friends, and thank you for joining me today for a walk down Paisley Lane. Today I would like to talk to you about bravery. What does it mean to be brave? Well, I'm not talking about having a lack of fear. Being afraid is a normal part of the human existence. What I'm really talking about is being afraid but having the strength to face your fear and to do it anyway. I want to talk to you about not letting your fear hold you back from realizing your potential. Is there something you want to do in your life? Something that aligns with your personal goals? But when you think of that and taking the first step, fear and anxiety creeps in and is holding you back from your personal progress? Sure, fear exists for a reason. It's the mechanism by which we protect ourselves from pain. Fear sucks, but pain sucks more. But we must be willing to accept pain. We must face it and even welcome it as part of our life experience. Because constantly running from it, therefore being in a constant state of fear and anxiety, will actually have a worse outcome from you than the pain is trying to prevent. Because producing too much cortisol, the stress hormone, will literally age you and cause heart disease. So if you're still experiencing anxiety over past pain, it's because you haven't dealt with it yet. Your fear response is still trying to protect you from it. You gotta dredge that shit up. Talk about it, analyze it, face it. It's the only way you'll get rid of it. And anytime you experience any kind of fear or anxiety, you've got to do the same thing. Ask yourself what you're really afraid of. What is it that your fear response is trying to protect you from? Confront it. Look at the details. What is the worst that could happen? And what if it did happen? Is it something you could handle? If you are experiencing a phobia, research shows that exposing yourself to what you're afraid of a little at a time is the best cure. Sit with your fear, experience it, but tell yourself that it's a natural reaction and that it will pass. You may still decide that you have every reason in the world to be afraid, but this technique will make you braver. You may realize that you're up to the challenge of taking it on. Do this voluntarily. Being forced into a scary situation activates the fight or flight response, but choosing to take on a challenge activates a part in the brain more associated with positive emotions and increased self-esteem. This will actually cause you to feel good about yourself and to think highly of yourself. Knowing that you are courageous will give you added meaning to your life. The world is not safe. You may be able to convince yourself that it is, but one day reality will strike. Because you spent your life in fear, running and hiding from pain, you won't be able to handle it. So you must be willing to accept pain, to feel it, and to experience it as part of life and an opportunity for a lesson. You can't appreciate joy if you never felt sorrow. Too many people play it safe to avoid risk and failure, but they're missing out on what it means to truly be alive. And don't be afraid to be wrong, because if you're going to learn, you must be allowed to stumble. To be right about something, you must be allowed to be wrong. If you're not failing, you're not growing. And you can't fail if you never try. So to sum it up, do things you're uncomfortable with. Step out of your safe spaces and remove your comfort zones. Allow yourself to be powered by your needs. Be brave, not less afraid. Be courageous, not safe. And go bravely out into the great unknown, because you are stronger than you think. I hope you've gotten some value out of what I've said today. I appreciate the opportunity, Mimzi. Paisley Lane signing off. See you next time.
Thank you, Paisley. Great job. Okay, friends, I got just one more on my list. Last but not least, I want to talk to you about personal responsibility. It's important that you take responsibility for your own life. And I say this while also understanding that things do happen in people's lives that are beyond their control. I know some of us have been dealt a bad hand. We may have been cursed with shitty parents, or born into poverty, or been discriminated against or mistreated or abandoned by people in our lives that we trusted. But I'm sure you've heard it said that it's not what happens to you, but what you do about it that matters. Many people want to consider themselves victims of circumstance, and they identify themselves with special victims groups because they don't feel special in any other way. They may find it easier to blame someone else or some outside force for the reason that they're not happy, rather than to take on an uncomfortable task of looking within. That takes strength and bravery, and they just might have to face the fact that they're not so special after all. I mean, sure, everyone's unique and can make a unique contribution, but it's through your contribution that you can truly recognize yourself as a special person, and not through your extenuating circumstances. And you should also take the time to examine your role in the outcomes of specific events. Like, was the end of your relationship really all your ex's fault? Was it all because he's an emotionally unavailable and neglectful asshole? Or could you be an overly needy, obsessive psycho bitch? Was the reason that you were late because of traffic? Or was it because you spent all morning watching YouTube videos instead of getting ready for work? Did you get turned down for that promotion because your boss is a racist, sexist jerk, or did someone else put in a little more effort than you took the time to do? Are you really going to be content to hand the power that you have over your own life to some outside force beyond your control? Because that's a really sad way to live your life, and definitely not worth the short-term relief you might feel. You'll find much more long-term satisfaction in the personal growth that comes from taking responsibility for your own outcomes.
Whoa there, Mimzi. I think I might have to jump in and contest that a little bit.
Okay, James, take it away.
I don't quite think it's that simple. So I would like to give some of my thoughts as a person who has struggled with depression and general mental illness for my entire life. It's obviously good advice to take personal responsibility for your actions and for your life. And I know that you usually have a bit of a tough love approach in your videos, but sometimes tough love isn't the right approach when it comes to depression, especially because people who have depression are very well known for negative self-talk. And I feel like a lot of, tough love rhetoric really only fuels that. It really only gives the people more reasons to feel guilty and insecure, and then that just breeds more negativity. So I would like to try to go about this from my own experience as a person that struggles with a lot of negative thoughts. I will say that there is a lot of good advice that you've presented. I think it's great to encourage people to take a leap of faith and to do things that they might be afraid to do, because you never know until you try, and things will never get any better if you just do the same thing all the time. But I do take umbrage with the statement that happiness is a choice, and I know what you mean by that, but I think I would just phrase it differently. For one thing, it's not that happiness is a choice. What is a choice is to give up or to keep trying in spite of your hardships. If you are feeling depressed, it is not because you didn't choose to be happy, obviously. I mean, if you could just easily choose to be happy, then nobody would be unhappy, because nobody likes to be unhappy for the most part. But when you are unhappy, you do have a choice in the sense that you can either continue your life without changing anything about it, or you can try to take steps in your life to fix the problems that are within your control. And I know that that's what you're getting at. So I just want to present that message in a different way, because I express myself differently than you do. For example, I probably wouldn't consider most people an overly needy, obsessive psycho bitch. Not saying that they're not out there, but let's just take it back a step for a moment. So let's talk psychology. When it comes to treating depression, one of the key factors is something called neuroplasticity, which is similar to what you were saying about forming habits of positive self-talk. That is actually pretty on brand with treatment for depression. So it is an effective technique. And I know that sometimes suggestions like journaling is a little irritating for people who have depression, so I would rather give some specific instructions and explanations scientifically on how journaling actually can work to help depression. So in your brain, you have all these little pathways that your synapses fire off into all the time to produce various chemicals which will affect your moods. And now, if one of these pathways is used frequently, then the brain will start to kind of dig a trench into that particular pathway, and it will take that pathway more often than not, because that one is the most direct connection at this point that it's used to. So when a lot of negative things happen to you, and a lot of people say negative things to you and give you negative thoughts in your head, it causes those pathways to become very worn in. And so your brain starts to go down those pathways automatically in almost every other situation regardless. So if you were, for example, dating somebody who was abusive to you, and all the time they undermine your self-worth and they tell you what a terrible person you are and they guilt trip you and all of these things that make you think negative thoughts in your mind about yourself, then those thoughts will continue to happen even when you're not with that person anymore in every other situation, because that's the pathway that your brain is used to going down. So the goal becomes to make your brain start taking a different pathway. And that's what neuroplasticity is essentially. It is the way in which your neurology can be manipulated or molded. So if you want your brain to start going down a pathway of positive self-talk, then you do need to practice it as a habit, even though it will feel fake for a while. You need to write down positive things in your life that you want to think about often. You need to write down positive things about yourself that you want to think about yourself often. Even if you don't actually think those things, if you want to think those things, write those things down and say them to yourself frequently, and do it every day if you can. If you can't, that's okay. You can skip a day here and there, but just try every day. Try as much as you can. And eventually you will find it easier and easier, and eventually more and more things will come to you that are positive, because your brain will start to go down those pathways instead of the negative pathways. And over time, when your positive neural pathways become, worn in, your old negative ones will start to fade, and they won't be connected nearly as frequently. And it will be a lot easier for you to reach positive chemicals as opposed to negative chemicals. So when it comes to deciding to be happy, that is a way you can take control into your own hands. If someone is struggling with depression, I highly recommend, seeking out therapy in some sense. Now, I know that Mimzi isn't trying to address people who are clinically depressed necessarily, and I know she doesn't think those people can help it, but I think most people who are unhappy probably do have untreated underlying depressive issues. People in general aren't unhappy with their life just because. One thing that was taught to me in therapy is called the 80-20 rule. What this refers to is that in any given situation, about 20% of it is within your control and the other 80% of it is not within your control. So it is actually quite counterproductive to think of everything in terms of personal responsibility, because a lot of it, not only is it not your personal responsibility, but there's nothing you can do about it. And accepting that is actually, in my opinion, a better technique to becoming happier than trying to find reasons to blame yourself for the problems that are in your life. And I feel like Mimzi put it best when it came to reacting to Piper being a little ungrateful and leaving. People won't always react the way that you expect them to. People won't always behave the way that you expect them to, or want them to, or need them to. But it can often be helpful to learn how to express yourself and learn how to see the ways in which you are influencing the situation and be aware of them. But I just wanted to put all this out there in defense of the people in the audience that I know probably groan a lot when it's suggested that if you don't want to be depressed anymore, then just try being happy. I know that's never helped me, so hopefully there is some advice that is helpful. And ultimately, if you feel that you are unhappy with your life, then it's important to try to figure out what you can influence in your life that might make it better. And don't give up on trying to improve those things, because giving up on yourself is a choice, and it's not one that you should make. Hopefully that's helpful. Back to you, Captain.
Thank you, James, for your valuable insight. You always help me to see things from other points of view, and I appreciate that. And now it's time for Real Talk with Mimzi and Captain Winky. All right, Captain Winky. Well, thanks for docking your boat long enough to join me today. Look, I know you all are just gonna find it annoying if I come on here and I act like I'm all holier than thou, like, oh, I'm so fucking happy and above it all. Well, it's true, I'm very happy, but I have my issues too. I found out that it's possible to all at once have a pretty high self-esteem as well as low self-confidence. Basically, what I mean is that I like myself. I appreciate intelligence and creativity and kindness and all kinds of great qualities in the people that I meet and know, including myself. I like me, but I have a lot of trouble believing that other people do. In fact, I'm so afraid that people don't like me, that I come out here and I tell everyone my personal thoughts and controversial opinions, subjecting myself to scrutiny. I tell everyone about my sordid past, and I dance and sing songs that I wrote myself, perhaps badly. I'm even an admittedly terrible ventriloquist, and I put myself in the public eye even though I'm insecure about my weight and my age. And why do I do this? Because I practice what I preach. I face my fears and I'm brave. I never miss an opportunity to learn from my mistakes or to walk out in that great unknown. In fact, my 7 secrets to happiness are things I practice every day, and you can too. So let's summarize. Number 1, haters gonna hate. Just accept it and get on with the business of being you. Number 2, find the deeper meaning in life. You don't just need to know the what, you also need to know the why. To be happy, help to make the people around you happy. Number 3, give yourself a break. Find out what works for you. Perfection is all in your head and it can never be achieved. Things won't go as planned, and obsessing about it will only make you miserable. Number 4, stop comparing yourself to other people. There's always going to be somebody better than you. Don't let your life be a race to the next big thing, or you'll never find contentment. Don't let life's moments pass you by. The present holds much more value than the future. And remember, progress is eternal and your happiness lies in the process. Number 5, practice gratitude and experience the happiness in desiring what you already have. Choose to concentrate on the abundance that's all around you. Number 6, be brave. Face your fears. Growth comes from challenging yourself, and if you're not growing, you're decaying. Number 7, take responsibility for the outcome of your life. Happy people take control of their lives. How does blaming someone else make your life any better? Shit happens, but it's your responsibility to recover from it. Bad things happen to everyone. It's about being proactive. And now, back by popular demand, well, Paisley told me she really likes this song and it inspires her when she's feeling down. So this is for you, Paisley, and for my second biggest fan, my granddaughter. A song I wrote called, If You Can Believe It, You Can Achieve It. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. Think about what you want and keep that thought in your mind. Don't worry about how you'll get there, and soon enough you will find. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. And so thank you so much. Don't forget that I have t-shirts and books and doll houses and miniatures, and all the links are below. So until next time,